you had underwhelming play on your offensive line, and they were overwhelmed by Denver's front seven.
Yeah, they were. Someone texted in about Geno, and I said, well, you must just follow the ball when you watch the game then. And I think that's what most people do, and it's more entertaining to follow the football. But when you just follow the football, you kind of miss what's going down. I'm not saying Geno was perfect. He did complete 72% of his passes, but I'm not saying it was perfect. But I'm also saying, all right, you're standing in the pocket. You got someone who dives at your knee. You're not allowed to follow through with the ball. It looks like you're throwing it to a linebacker when really there's a route behind the linebacker that he was going to Tyler Lockett. Who knows if he completes that or not? But to ignore the fact that this dude was diving at your leg, you get hit at your knee, you're not going to be able to let the football go at the velocity that you want it to. That O-line just didn't play good. It did not play good, Stacy. And there were some routes that I feel like the receivers could have ran better. But that is football. You're not going to execute on every single play. But if you are the average fan and you are watching it on CBS or whatever the game was on, they're going to follow the ball because they don't give you the all 22. That's why I love doing the post-game show, and I'm talking with the guys, and we have our reactions, and we're saying, all right, this is what we think happened. And then, like this morning, we get on the text thread, and we're going back and forth about what really happened. Like, all right, this is what we saw. Some of it is correct. Some of it is false. Looking at it one time in real time, you're not going to get the full picture. That's why when Pete Carroll was a coach here, he used to say, I got to watch the film and get back to you guys during the presser because I'm not really sure what happened. So that's why I encourage, man, if you got NFL Plus, go ahead and go to the replay, watch the all 22 or even just the condensed version of the game, and you'll start to pick up on more things. So, yeah, Geno's going to have to play better for this team to execute. But if you cannot protect that man, if you cannot create gaps for your running backs with those bigs, you stand no chance. Thank God for this defense. Defense kept you in the game until you started to figure some things out.
People keep saying the defense was really good, but they still gave up 20 to a rookie quarterback. Hang on just a minute. They gave up a pair of field goals in the first half. The offense gave up 4 points.
Yes.
And I know that you would look at it and you'd go, well, that's still 4 points. You know, they still gave up a touchdown. They didn't allow Bo Nix to get into the end zone until late in this game. The defense was incredibly effective, particularly in the third quarter, but yes, in the first half. I think in the third quarter, the Broncos had 19 net yards. Let's talk about those two safeties because I underline them when looking at the first half summary in terms of what's indicative of a really poor offensive performance, that you are giving up more points than you're actually gaining in the moment. You gave up 2 safeties. The record for safeties in a game is 3. You're inching close to it.
Hey, here's the thing. I'm looking at all the scores in NFL this weekend. Got a 20-26 score. That wasn't our game. That was the Lions game. You got Commanders 37-20, 33-17, 22-10. Like most teams are going to put up around 20 points a game, right? If you take the Jets, for example, if the Jets were to have the same defense they had last year and were to average 22 points a game this year or last year, they're going to the playoffs because they're going to win more games than not. So them people saying, you allowed 20 points to a rookie. No, you allowed about 16 points to a rookie because you got 2 safeties over there. Let's look at it like that. You also gave these guys a short field and the defense bowed up and forced them to kick some field goals. There's always going to be something to support your argument, but then you have to try to dive deeper. So when people say Geno needs to play better, yes, he does. That offensive line needs to play better as well. Geno also had a 34-yard touchdown, the longest run of his career, and kept this team in the game. You go across the league, points are going to be scored. Bo Nix was Mr. Checkdown because that defense was on point, but there are some things that need to be fixed. It's week 1 football. There's no way you're going to come out. Like, what team is walking away feeling great? There's probably one team in this league right now that's like, we did exactly what we were supposed to do, and that's the New Orleans Saints, 47-10 against the Panthers.
Going against the Panthers with a Nepo baby offensive coordinator. Congratulations,
hey,
Clint,
he did his thing.
That was a heck of a game plan. Heck of a game plan. If you were Mike McDonald, if you were Ryan Grubb and the offensive staff, would you consider having a more open competition at some of those guard spots?
I think it is open. I think after this game, it is definitely open. I believe I saw the snap count, and Chris Haynes only got 1 snap at that guard spot. So we had Charles Cross played most of the game. Stone Forsythe played most of it. George Fant, 13 plays, and he was gone at the guard spot. Tomlinson played 67 snaps. Bradford played 66. Christian Haynes with 1. You got to open that thing up. Anthony Bradford did not have the greatest game, and he's also young. So he hasn't done anything to solidify himself and say, I'm the guy. And Lakin Tomlinson, he's new to this team as well. Not to the game, but to this team. You have to. There's no way you look at that film and say, we're good on the offensive line. There's no way those offensive linemen are looking at that film and saying, we got it, guys, we're good to go. I saw Abe Lucas walking around at halftime, and I wanted to ask him so bad what he thought about the O-line, but I wasn't going to make him do that, and he probably wasn't going to answer me anyway. But these guys are honest. They're professionals. They're going to look, the offensive line, they're going to have a come to Jesus conversation and say, all right, guys, we have to do better or we're not going to stand a chance to win a bunch of these games.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that I look at that New England Patriots defense, who, by the way, I know that the New England Patriots had the number 3 overall pick and they're a bad team overall, but that defense was really good, particularly in the second half last year. They were a top 10 defense in terms of limiting opponent yardage. You are going, even with them trading away Judon and a couple other guys and presumably moving into kind of a rebuild phase of their existence, you're going to get tested. This offensive line will be tested in week 2.
Yeah, they will.
And I'm very curious to see how they respond. And frankly, how Geno responds. I mean, there was someone on the Mac and Jacks text line who was disagreeing with me. I said the biggest issue was the offensive line. They felt it was Geno and that this team loses this game if they don't have Ken Walker, to which I could say, yeah, I could see that point about
you
not
lose
having...
this game if you don't have Tyler Lockett.
Exactly.
You lose this game if you don't have Jenkins.
But I do think that there is an onus placed on quarterback fairly, where it's like, what can you do to lift this team in ways that other players simply can't? What are you bringing to lift this team? What can Geno bring in week 2?
Yeah, there are going to be moments where Geno has to make the impossible play, where he has to uplift, for sure. Last year, he had 5 game-winning drives, the most in the league. Last year, he had 7 go-ahead touchdowns in the 4th or overtime, the most in NFL history. He's shown that he can do it, right? And he's going to have to do it. Real quick before we go out, this is a message from Paul Moyer talking about New England. Okay, this is the type of stuff that happens. That's why I love my crew, man, because we go back and forth and talk about things. He goes, I watched New England this morning. They're lucky to win that game. Every weird play went their way. Drop touchdown by Cincinnati, and the very next play, the tight end is going to score and doesn't tuck the ball away and fumbles at the 1-yard line. Cincinnati, horrible tackling team, but they ran the same play with 2 tight ends and forced a corner to play the run, and he missed at least 3 tackles. We should beat New England. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy.
Paul Moyer.
Moyeezy.
Moyer.